My name's Simon May. I'm Library Services Manager here in Southend-on-Sea, and the project that we're particularly interested in going to talk about today is the new central library that we're building. It's a joint library for the college in Southend of further education, and for the university, and for us, the public library. And it's the first one which is bringing all three of those partners together. It's a very exciting project. Obviously, you're working with three partners, all of whom have quite definite, quite different corporate identities, but all of whom share a vision for making Southend a vibrant seaside town full of culture, and building on a very large, very long-standing artistic background in Southend that often isn't seen by people outside Southend. The main drivers for it are very interesting because although they all come together, they're all quite different. From the council's point of view, we have a large, very busy central library that's one of the busiest in the country, but it's a 1970s building that is well past its best before date and would need significant work to make it fit for purpose. It's also now, as the town has changed, not necessarily in the right place. So the town centre has moved, we're being a little bit isolated. Do you spend lots of money doing up a building that actually isn't in the right place anyway? The college has grown enormously in the past 4 or 5 years. It's been a very big, deliberate policy of growing. It's now drawing in students from across southern Essex, deep up into most of Essex now, frankly. It built a large building that generated that in the first part of the century, and now it wants to build on that, continue growing for fairly obvious reasons. And the university has set up a campus here linked to the college campus. That opened again 4 or 5 years ago. That's gone very well, and now they're looking to really bring in significant, serious library facilities for those students who tend to be postgraduate, tend to be foreign students, quite demanding of what they're going to get when they get here. And this is the university's way of delivering that. So all of those drivers come together, and although that's very nice, you could put something nice there, you need to get commitment, particularly from the council, to something a bit bigger than that. I mean, money is tight, has been tight for quite some time. From the council's point of view, the town centre needs regeneration. It's lost, particularly to Lakeside, the large regional shopping centre that opened mid-90s. Blue Water opened not that long ago, just the other side of the Thames, very close. A lot of competition from other similarly sized towns not very far away, Chelmsford, Basildon. And we want to bring people into Southend. It's a seaside town. It lives on, dies on tourism, basically, on people coming in, doing things here. And by moving this large building into what was an old, well, it's a site that was previously occupied by an old, rather grotty multi-storey car park. We can create a centre that will actually bring that part of the town alive. It will be a building that's open to everybody from 8 months to 80. Everybody will be welcome in it, everybody will have access to it. It will feature galleries, it will feature large, significant libraries, it will feature a large lecture theatre. It's going to be a great building. It's going to bring that part of the town alive. Right. The council sees the sense of this, and it's a strategic investment from their part in that recreation of a vibrant town centre. So the whole thing is coming together really very nicely. The partnership was instigated by the council. They understood the issues around the library. We'd had lots of discussions about that. The library service, as I say, has always been a very successful one in Southend. It's part of that development of Southend as a cultural centre in South Essex and beyond, into Essex and East Anglia. And they realised that there was a problem. They also knew, because of the work that they were doing already with the university and the college, that these issues were coming up for them. The college and the university wanted to increase their library provision, and there was very much a sense of thinking, well, we might as well join together, we might as well see what we can achieve. And that took place probably, well, where are we now? Sorry. That started off about 2006, 2007, as the college and the university's first set of buildings bedded in. They were starting to look to phase 2, if you like. We were starting to look to phase 1. discussions happened and the sorts of what if, maybe so, maybe not. And from that, we started off then by commissioning as a council a feasibility study in 2008 to see whether this was actually going to be possible, to start to explore some of those issues that people always come out with, well, won't the students subject to all the noisy children, won't all the old people hate the students, how on earth are they going to live together in one building? And you very quickly realise that actually you're all having the same issues. We want a series of spaces, from really quite noisy spaces for children and general circulation spaces, to really quite quiet spaces for people to study. But we also want spaces where groups of people can study together, because we get that already. Students, school children come in, they're wanting to work together around a project as you would at work. There's a clash there with the people who are coming in to work on their thesis who want silence. We can't deliver that in this building, and frankly we'd have to build it again if we wanted to change it to do that. When you talk to the university, they have exactly the same need for exactly the same range of spaces. Right. So it very quickly became apparent that if you started there, you got to a set of spaces that everyone could share and everyone could use. There'll obviously be the sort of gallery that we have in the library at the moment, which is just for the sorts of good amateur artists, semi-commercial, semi-professional artists. I hope there'll also be a space for people having their first exhibition, which is a facility we offer now. If you've grown up in a town like Southend that has got quite a big artistic and cultural world, you're going to want that first opportunity to put your work on the wall. We have a small gallery that will allow that. There'll also be the Southend base of Focal Point, which is a major digital art gallery funded by the Arts Council. They've been building up a presence in Southend, based at the Central Library for 20 years now. They're becoming significant players internationally, and there's very much a feeling that that will be, again in the new building, a draw internationally to bring people into Southend, changing that perception, that view of the town quite significantly. Beside that, there will obviously be things like a cafe where people can have a coffee, share a drink. There'll be spaces that people can meet in, people can have initial short business meetings in, set of meetings rooms, you could have more formal rooms, more formal meetings in, that sort of thing. The building has to open for the academic year 2013-14, so we're looking to open, I think, probably end of September 2013. At the moment we're at stage C, which is the initial design of the building, so we know that what its mass will look like, we know how it will be arranged in terms of zones, so we know where the library will be, but we don't know the detailed design yet. That will be developed over the next few months. We hope that design will be complete May this year. It's likely that we will be starting work on site probably the beginning of 2012 for a completion at the end of towards the end of 2013. I think the partnership working so far is going really well, I have to say that. And these are three organisations that really have learned to work together over a relatively short period of time, probably over 5 or 6 years. A major part of that reason why it's working well is that we're using a very definite project and programme management structure. So we're applying, for those of you who know the terminology, MSP and Prince 2, not in a straitjacketed way, but so that those waymarks, those signposts are there for everybody. All three organisations share an understanding of those methods, and so they understand where they are in the process, they understand when to make an input, when they don't need to make an input, how far they've got, when they need to go back to their organisations and say, we need you to sign this now to say that we're ready to move on. Because that's one of the big issues. You can't have one partner saying we're ready to go and another partner saying, oh, we need another 5 months now to get this through our committees. So that's all working very well. We took quite a long time, I feel, to get to know the partners in our respective library services seriously. We met really over the past 9 months. We've met them and got to know them and visited each other's sites, had the slightly more in-depth conversations about how things work. And I think it would have been perhaps nice to have started that process a bit sooner. But it was a little difficult. You've got organisations jockeying at fairly high strategic level. You need to be quite careful about the links you make underneath that. So that's worked very well. And as I say, the big surprise has been the commonality of need and the commonality of aspiration. Everybody wants this to be a building that will work really well, that will look good and make an impact, because we all want that. And we all want much the same thing. As I say, the absolutely stunning thing was that taking us as a busy public library and a busy academic library from a fairly significant university both have exactly the same spatial needs. You need the same range of spaces, and we were talking in the same terms about these spaces. We were just calling them slightly different things. and that understanding was great, that we got that through. We are at a point where we're getting to the point where staff will need to be more involved and be thinking about the actual functioning of the building, how it will work. We're not quite there yet. Staff are starting to see that actually it isn't going to be the same as it is here. We're not just moving to a new building. That when we say it's integrated, that means that they'll be dealing with everybody from the student start down to baby book start, and we'll need the skills to do that, and they'll be joined by colleagues from other places. They've been involved so far, particularly around the design of the building. There have been a couple of workshops where they've fed in their thoughts about the current building, their aspirations for the new building. The real work will be coming probably 18 months' time as we start to design the building itself and how it will work. Not so much the how it will work, but how it will be staffed, who will do what the functions will be. I think that's going to be quite interesting and quite challenging for people. We also don't know yet the governance arrangements around the building. We're all looking at governance at the moment in our various ways. And that's a whole new world. You know, will this be a building that one of the partners runs on behalf of the other partners, or will this be a building that's run by a third or fourth body that was set up to run that building and possibly other services? We don't know yet. Those decisions haven't been made. That's part of the programme. But the programme structure is helping us find a way and a route through that. I mean, we will be looking at significant savings simply on running the building. And this building, it dates from the 70s. It costs an absolute fortune to heat and to light. The university and the college, because of their worlds are increasingly electronic, because they are increasingly issuing textbooks as e-books rather than as copies and hard copy, are largely looking for a small collection of hard copy books, and then access to computer systems, access to e-books, and study spaces. All of that ties in. So by sharing the costs, we're delivering all of that within pretty much the same envelope, and it's quite clear that this would not have happened had it not been for that partnership working, and we would have ended up potentially with a large, ageing, not very good public library here and a not really fit for purpose university library somewhere half a mile away, and that would have been stupid. So I mean, the partnership certainly added that. It's a building that people will use from the time they're 8 to the time they're 80 or beyond, frankly. But it's also, therefore, a building that will open up to many more people education and the opportunities that are around. So, you know, clearly if you've been going into a building since you were 8 months old, before you can really remember, and that's the building that you'll have your university lectures in. Right. If you are not sure about university as a career, that makes a hell of a difference. You know, and everyone sees that as that's part of it. It becomes, they own it, and you stop having this sort of the college is closed during the exhibition exam periods that you get elsewhere. It becomes part of the town. People grow, people understand, people learn, and the town as a whole benefits from that. Yeah. I think not being scared is the big one. It's very easy to think, oh, it's all going to be changed, it's all going to be different, and actually it's all been hugely good. Right. And you can see that, and you can take that lesson and build it back into where we are now, which is not necessarily a comfortable place. But what looked quite scary and almost impossible is hugely possible if you've got the right people and if the tide of money is flowing the right way, which I think very much it is for us. Yeah. I think if this had been a different project, if it had been a project that wasn't fulfilling quite high level needs for us and the university and the college, then quite clearly it wouldn't have happened. But it is fulfilling those needs, and the funding was reviewed 4 months ago. Everyone's still signed up to it.